Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm Angela.
And this is Nfgeeks. All right, Angela, you had something. This is kind of coming off the last video we just did.
Yeah.
So, what are some things you wanted to talk about?
Well, I kind of wanted to get a little dark on the show here.
Right, because we haven't been doing that for a half hour.
Because we don't,
so.
But I just kind of wanted to talk about us as NFs and more personal-wise, just like us talking here, but to kind of feel like how we deal with the darker sides of life, like grief and loss, which we already were talking about, but, also, how do we deal with anxiety-filled situations? How do NFs in general deal with anxiety-filled situations?
Yeah, I would say badly.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way as well.
I had to be quick about it. Yeah, I would say badly.
Yeah.
As in not well.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I don't want to say that. Not necessarily badly, but it's painful.
Yeah.
That's it. We might be handling it fine within our own context, but it's certainly painful.
Mm.
All right, so what do you mean? Let's break it down a little.
Well, all right. So so just from my own personal experience, and
Okay.
this probably has a lot to do with my NFness as to how I dealt with this my whole life was, I was bullied a lot in school from about through middle school and all the way up. I grew up with the same kids, mind you. I grew up with the same kids from preschool all the way to junior year of high school. Right,
because you live in a one-horse town.
Yes, because I live in a one-horse town where everybody knows each other all the time, and you can't get away.
That's right. There's a well in the middle,
Everybody goes there. We hang out.
Right, on their horses. All right, well, actually, that brings up a good point, because I want to get this in, because Nfgeeks is about empowering NFs. It's about the NFs feeling good about being NFs and acting NF, not being ashamed of it, not trying to change it, into anything. Just being NF and being happy NF and living in it and loving in it and being strong in it. And one of the reasons why we have to do this, well, we don't have to do Nfgeeks, but we should do this.
We choose.
Yes, is because NFs are kind of like hiding under the bed. And the reason, now this is what's going to relate, the reason they hide under the bed is because a lot of NFs, lots of NFs, and boy, I get these emails all the time, have tons of beat-up stories from childhood. You know what I mean? Like tons. So here's the thing. It's not just you, Angela. The entire NF population has these horror stories of bullies and beat up and being pushed into ditches and somebody stepping on their Legos.
Oh, I got a bunch of them.
And you know what I mean? NFs, because they're soft and gentle and kind and just soft human beings, they're targets. NFs are targets for bullying and hate, and because we're kind of soft, and that's interpreted as weak. And so we take, as children, we take a whole bunch of crap that we don't even expect. And I think it's worse for the ENFP in a way. I shouldn't say worse. It's terrible for all of them. It's probably worse for the INFP. But what's bad being an ENFP is that we kind of go in kind of happy. We go in and go like, hi, then bam, we get like hit in the face. And,
yep.
So go ahead, tell us your trauma.
Well, all right, so there's a lot of it, but
of course,
it progressed, slowly with just stupid little things, like it was in middle school where it's people just making fun of me, and I went back and forth from being overweight to being skinny to being overweight to being skinny, and I played ice hockey my whole life, and hung out with a lot of guys and really have a lot of girlfriends, so the gay thing came into effect where I was ridiculed for being that, even though I wasn't, and it progressed as we got older to more, as it does with teenage years, it progresses to violence, progresses to, my books getting thrown, my tires getting slashed once I was able to drive.
Oh my God, really? Why?
I don't know, and that's the thing. I never figured it out to this day, up until actually recently. I had spoken to a girl who actually used to be one of the people that bullied me, and she told me that she had been jealous of me because I was friends with all the guys that she wished that she could hang out with, and people were mad because I wasn't afraid to be friends with everybody. Okay. That was the other thing, too. I was a kid that was friends with everybody. I was friends with those kids that hung out in the corner by themselves. I was friends with everybody. I never told somebody I couldn't be their friend. I always, even if I didn't like them, I still would be like, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Is everything okay? You know what I mean? If there was something going on, I would step in the middle of it, even if I got my ass kicked in the process. And
that's a good, that jogged something loose out of me. Because I think this is true for a lot of ENFPs, is that the ENFPs have haters. We have haters. We have people who are jealous. because of our personality and our charm and the things we do. No, seriously, I have the same experience now. My colleagues hate me.
Yeah.
They hate me.
I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
hate me. You know, because I'm loved.
Because your classes fill out and some teachers lose their jobs.
Right, exactly. I have a fan club at school, right? There's like a fan club.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does.
They wear shirts. No, but it's really
we have shirts. MB.
Right.
You know these things.
Right. But I do have but I am popular and they hate me for that. Yeah. And they do hate me. Like when I eat, like I go to the faculty lounge. Yeah. Like I'm like the kid who got beat up in middle school.
Who ends up eating in the bathroom
stall.
Right,
so he eats at a staircase, like I'm like that, I'm 42, I'm like that guy. I don't, all the cool kids are sitting at a table. I'm sitting at some table by myself.
It doesn't stop either. That's the thing, too. Is
right, exactly.
You're always going to deal with those situations. Well, you think that people would progress to a more significant level when they get higher, but it just doesn't happen that way. It almost seems like it gets worse.
In fact, and this is for all of you who go to grad school, even if doctoral school, is that I don't know what it is, but there's something about a classroom and desks, and when you sit in those desks, I don't care what the subject is.
Like
you regress to your 12-year-old self.
Yep.
Okay, everybody does. There's cliques, there's name calling, there's gossip, there's practical jokes.
Even if you didn't do it in your regular life, as soon as you set foot into the school environment.
Right. Even my age, there's rats. He's not taking notes. There's all that stuff takes place. But getting back to NFs, yes, I think this is a good thing to talk about because NFs, almost every NF I know has some story about, here's the time I got the shit kicked out of me because I was smelling flowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or this is the time I got the shit kicked out of me because I was drawing, I was pretending I was in Harry Potter and Diagon Alley or something.
I can tell you a good story that will both sicken you and intrigue you at the same time.
Oh, great. Well, that's how I feel about you anyway.
Oh, well, that's fine.
So that's perfect.
Well, so when I was in high school as a freshman, I had these mysterious love notes showing up in my locker. Typed out, this whole thing that, telling me how pretty I was and how much this person loved me and they were my secret admirer and they were hoping that one day they would find the guts to tell me how they, to see me in person and things like that. And this went on for months, almost a whole year this went on, where I was getting them, flowers in my locker. Like, it was really intricate, you know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, okay, well, maybe that's the way it is because, especially because I used to get made fun of a lot. Maybe this person didn't want to be, made fun of too or whatever. I don't know. So I just let it happen that way. Well, one last time it was, I want to meet you. I finally want to tell you how I feel about you. And I went to go meet up with the person and was met by a group of people with weapons and got really hurt very badly. And
what do you mean weapons?
Like baseball bats.
Why? Why did they do this?
I don't know. I still don't know to this day why a lot of... I got really... When some people say they got the shit kicked out of them, mine were pretty intricate. It was pretty bad.
Jeez.
Like, planned to the point where nobody would ever know that it happened. Miraculously, nobody ever got caught with these things.
Who was the mastermind behind this?
I really don't know. To this day, I still don't know.
And did they tell you why they did this?
Nope. Nobody ever told me. That one girl is the only person who's ever said anything to me ever in my life. And when I got to high school, I actually got suspended for a month because I beat the crap out of one of my bulliers so badly that it just... I think it was a lot of my put in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was all just in there, and then it just imploded on this poor person that happened to be standing in front of me.
Yeah, I know, and this is a very... I'm sure we're going to get comments on this. This is a very NF story.
Yeah.
This isn't as horrible as that, but it happens at all ages.
Bad.
Yeah, one of my ex-girlfriends, not the doctor, but one before that. There are many, unfortunately. But she was an older student at a university, so she was getting a bachelor's degree, but she was older than everybody.
Yeah.
Like 10 years older.
Mm-hmm.
And she was kind of her own person and kind of bright, and and this was a fairly rich kid's school, so there was a class thing going on, and she was an INFP, so you can see where this is going. And these kids, this wasn't that long ago actually, it was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, but these 18-year-olds made a Facebook page about her, to make fun of her, So they made a Facebook page, to like if you think so and so is a goofhead or not. You know what I mean? They made this whole, and they made comments, and they had this thing. And my ex-girlfriend. Now think about this: if you're an INFP, okay, like you don't already have this major shame anxiety going on, and you find out that like 30
that just sets you
people,
right off the scale.
30 people, 10 years younger than you have just made a Facebook page so that 100 people at the school you're trying to attend. You're trying to overcome things and be. She was horrified. It totally, stabbed her through the heart. As things do through INFP. It was really miserable. And NFs, all NFs have stories like this. These horror stories of getting beat up, being tortured, and
Yeah.
And being humiliated, and it's very bad. That's why Nfgeeks. That's why I do Nfgeeks this way. Because I want NFs to be empowered. We're not crazy and you're not bad. We do have a strength and we do have a power. And when we really accept that and really try to focus it and learn it and see it as a strength, it works. The NF things work. They always work.
Oh, it does. And, I feel like that almost makes it better because, the same thing, even to the point of more so into my story, it gets worse. As my life went on, it got worse.
Jeez, Angela.
Yeah, it got worse. And
Angela, how could this all happen? What did you do? I mean, how did you?
I really
don't know. I'm not blaming the victim, but no, what?
I must have just really pissed people off because I
was
just
what? Just being an ENFP,
being friends with everybody, being in plays, being everywhere. God. I was everywhere in school. I was always all over the place. I was in drama. I was in all the theater stuff. I was in. Any club that I could fit into. I was on the hockey team. I was the only girl on the hockey team. And it was all kinds of stuff. And I don't know, like I said, that the only girl that ever spoke to me told me that she hated me because she was jealous that I was able to do these things with my life and be happy with it and just, do it. And my home life wasn't great as my life went on. My home life was great during high school, but then afterwards it didn't get as good. But, and after I changed schools, because eventually it got so bad that I ended up changing schools, and then I changed again afterwards. And I graduated from a third school, and all this stuff happened, and it was a bunch of stuff. We could go on for days. And, but I feel like it helps me more, because even when you and I met, that we connected in such a way that I felt like felt like I found somewhere where I fit. And at our school, I felt like I found a place where I fit, where I found, okay, maybe this is going to be something that I like. Maybe this is going to be things that I want to look at, and studying the Myers-Briggs and looking into personalities and understanding why people do the things that they do. And as ENFPs, we want to know everything all the time, any possible way we can.
Sure, that's right, absolutely.
And that's how I feel, and that's what I feel that kind of got over. And I feel like that even helped me get out of the anxiety stage and kind of helped me get on. And I don't know, I know. Maybe because it's the E in me that I have a little easier of a time getting out, into the open with it than maybe the I's would. But I don't know, it just came right out about that. And that's how I feel about the NFs, where we're all at that stage, but we all deal with everything differently.
Yeah.
And that's what...
And it's awful because these things hurt us so much. There's so much. Like, they're soul-crushing. Yeah. They stay with us forever. Sometimes we don't even recover. Yeah. The doctor had stories like this. She did.
Did she?
Right, and her stories are like my stories. They're from the before time.
Yeah.
Okay? These things that happened like 32 years ago. And
they probably happened even before that.
Yeah, they did. And Dave, formerly of Nfgeeks, he went to a vocational school originally in high school before he went to college. Now, those schools, if you go to a vocational school, they're mostly... guys, or depending on your shop, you're going to be in a shop with all guys. Mm-hmm. So think about how brutal that is. I mean, brutal. I mean, he used to say the way the taunting was brutal. Now, he's an INFJ.
Oh my God.
What I mean? Can you imagine the brutality that he was, it was, he would tell me these horror stories like Dave, that could not have happened. I would say that to him all the time. Like, Dave, that are you serious?
It's true, though, almost to the point where you think that some of these things, and the worst part is, and even now that I see kids in high school now I feel like some of this stuff has gotten worse as the generations have gone on. That the bullying and, as we've seen even now, it's gotten to a point where the schools need to have special funds to control cyberbullying and control, have things to do to control bullying, because it's getting kids to the point where 10-year-olds are committing suicide.
Sure, and I would love to see this study. How many of these committing suicide are NFs?
I would guarantee you that probably 90% of them would be NFs.
I'll bet you like a ton of them are NFs, for sure.
I would guarantee you that
a ton of the kids getting bullied are the NFs, and a ton of the kids that killed themselves, I'll bet you are the NFs. That's my hypothesis.
The NFs, yeah.
I don't know. It's certainly Fs. May not be only NFs, but I would bet the Fs, you know.
Yeah. And I don't know, and I feel like to go back to what we were saying of the dark aspect of it is that I think one of the worst things that NFs have is once our nitpick things happen, there's not really much we can do to escape it. Once somebody finds out what our weakness is, you can't get away from it.
One of the things I've always said is that NFs don't have shields.
No.
That's the problem.
Once somebody finds out what our weakness is...
NTs have shields. They have force fields. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean they're happy.
But think about it.
But they have like a shield. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we don't. You know, the SJs have a shield. My God, there's this.
Oh, they have 100 different things. Yeah, they have.
We don't. There's no shield. It goes right through. Right through straight through the back.
Well, we have like the kryptonite. It doesn't just hurt us a little bit. It's like enough to just destroy you ultimately, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part.
All right, we have to finish up, but I would like to hear any of the other types here about their bully stories. I mean, certainly NFs aren't the only ones bullied.
No.
By any means.
No.
But I think the NFs are the ones that get crushed by it. That's what I think. But still, any comments would be appreciated.
Then we'll make a video.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Thanks.